Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 30 of budget crafting. And today we're going to make a pocket calendar or a pocketbook calendar. I used to carry calendars with me all the time, and just the little kind that you would buy at the Dollar Tree or whatever. But for years I haven't really needed one because I was never out and about. So the calendar on the wall worked just fine. But I've decided this year I really am going to need a calendar that I can pull it out of my purse and look at it and figure things out. So, but because I've been making journals and that type of thing, I've decided I want to make my own. So this is just a 2022 desk calendar. You can use any kind of calendar you want. You can make a bigger one with a regular wall calendar because you're going to fold them in half. So that makes them smaller than that size. But I want one to go in my pocket or my pocketbook. So you need a calendar where the whole calendar is on one page. You'll have the booklets where you open them up, but each piece of that, let me see here. Let me just show you a piece of paper. Okay, so if you had a calendar that was folded and stapled in the middle, that type of thing, what happens is you open it up and it says January right across here, and here's the whole calendar. When you take that journal apart or that calendar apart to make your own calendar journal, what happens is you take the staples out, the pages come apart, and now you have half of January and half of December on the same page because the other half of January is here. So now if you do have one that is like this and you really like it and want to use that one, you could always copy that so that it's all on one page and then cut it out. So long as you were making it for yourself. You can't sell something that someone else has done and you've copied. But then you would have to use the original piece so that you're using what you bought of theirs. You're not copying their designs or images or anything else. So I'm just going to try and put 2 more pieces with this because my signatures are 4 pages, so I wanted that to be 4 pages. Okay, set that aside. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your pages and cut them out to whatever size you need them to be. Now on these ones, let me see, I have to look because I did already start. Okay, so I'm going to use a metal ruler, and I'm going to go halfway through this circle here. And only the reason I'm going halfway through the circle instead of cutting it right across the top is because I'm using a roller cutter and it won't fit in there if I try and cut at the top. Now I could take the wires out and then I could cut it across the top, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to cut across here to just cut my pages out. You can do it with a pair of scissors. You can do it however you would like, and I didn't do a very good job of that, but now that I've started it, I'm just going to go back in and finish it with the pair of scissors. Oh, that one came out. Okay, let's get, I only have a couple in here because I have already started this. It may be a longer video, I'm not sure. So I am going to try and make sure that I stop at a point where I can upload it to my computer. So now what I can do is take these little flippies off of here, and I can use this for something. I love the way that these are, and if I put a little thing on the bottom, I can use it as a stand for recipes or instructions or anything like that. But now we have our pages. So then what you're going to do is say, okay, I've got my pages. Do I just want this to be just the calendar? And if so, just fold your pages in half, and you can sew them in, glue them in. You can put them in your journal however you want. I'm going to use a 3-hole pamphlet stitch on them. And each month is going to be separate. And it's going to have some paper to go with it so that I have a writing space. Now, what I did was I just took a regular notebook like this, and I cut it on the red line. So you know how there's a red line there and then there's a red line over here? I don't like those red lines, so I just cut it on the red line, and then I came over here and cut it on the red line. It was not as wide as my calendar itself, once I cut it out. So it's going to be a little bit shorter than my calendar page. But if you can see, it's a little bit too short. But that's okay, because I could have cut the red lines and left them on there. I did not want to. And then I just took 4 pieces of that paper. And I should have counted. I'm not sure if this is 4. Let's see. Just folded them in half. 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. And I did cut them the height of my calendar, because I didn't want that to get all tattered at the top and the bottom. So, but I just really liked not having those there. So then we've got January here, and we've got 1, 2, 3. Let's do one more. And I figured 4 pages at the front and 4 pages at the back. I did the lined paper on purpose because I like to write on lined paper. And the reason I'm putting this in here is so that I have a place where I can write. So I really wanted it to be lined paper, not just copy paper. So then just put that in there. Okay, so there is our January, and then I will sew it in with a 3-hole stitch in the middle. So I will have my calendar here, and then I will have pages to write here and pages to write here. And I figured there's about 4 weeks in a month. So that would give me a couple of pages to use for week 1 and week 2, and then over here, week 3 and week 4. And of course, you know, they don't necessarily always fall that way. So, you know, here week 1 would actually be just the first. So, you know, and then this one actually would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It would need 6 pages, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. I was just kind of thinking, how much would I need? So I figured that gives me enough writing space. You know, there's 8 pages on this side and 8 pages on this side, you know, front and back. I think that'll be enough. So once I got all of those done, then March, January, February, March. So now I have all 12 months here. And then I thought, well, just in case I do have something that is not necessarily month specific, or I just want to have a little note of something, I went ahead and I cut a few extras so I can have 4 in the front and 4 in the back. So I'm just going to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I have the whole inside portion of my journal or my calendar all ready to go. And that does make it a little bit thick. That's okay with me, because, you know, it is something that I need, and I'm not putting pockets and that type of thing in here. I literally want it to keep track of what's going on. And I also figured what I can do is that I can put like a little bullet point. If I need to write a whole lot, I can put a little bullet point there, and then just come back over here and put January 8th and write whatever it is I need to write there, if it's longer than just like doctor's appointment or something like that. So, so now that I have my whole calendar ready to go, what I need to do is decide what kind of cover do I want, because I am literally going to stitch the whole thing in. You know, I just don't want to try gluing or taping or anything like that. I want to do, and I could staple it in, because, you know, my stapler would reach to the center of this signature, but I just want to stitch it in. So my paper it's so old, because I used to buy these when they were like a nickel a piece at Walmart, and I'd buy like 20 of them, and I do that every year, so I always had some left. So I got a little bit of yellowing on the bottom of my paper. That's why I keep flipping it over. So now we've got this ready. I have to decide, what do I want for a cover? And I decided I want a fabric cover, because it's going to go in and out of my purse. And so I wanted something that was kind of solid. So I had a piece of fabric that came out of a fabric sample book, and it had masking tape along this top part and this bottom part, and then a solid piece of paper here. And excuse me, I got to looking at it, and I thought, that's just masking tape. At first I thought it was paper. So I thought that's a really good idea. Helps it from not fraying, makes it just a little bit stronger. So what I did was I took my signatures and I decided, where do I want them in here? Let me take this. This is just an extra piece. Let me get that off of there. Where do I want them in here? And then I know that I want this flap to come all the way around. So I thought that's a pretty good area right there. So then I just measured and decided where, I want the top to be, not much bigger than the height of my book. So I just lined it up. Let me try and move this just a little bit. There we go. And put a piece of masking tape right straight across where I want the top of my book to be. Excuse me. Got a little drink of coffee there. I'm so sorry. It's already going to be in parts. I hate to turn it off right now. But I'm having that problem with the tickle again. It happens when I talk. I don't have a cold. I had a cold last week, but alrighty. So this is the height of my book, and I'm going to cut it with pinking shears because that's what they did, and I thought that's a good idea too, because again, pinking shears helps it not to fray, and I don't really want it to fray. So I'm going to cut it with pinking shears across here, and then I just decided. So this was right here. So I thought, well, if I stand that up, I can stitch it through the fabric and through a piece of masking tape, because that will just, again, make it just a little bit stronger. So I put a piece of tape here, and then I put a piece of tape where the edge is going to be, and a line where that edge needs to be. So if this is in here, if I cut it right there, I put a pencil line. If I cut it there, that's going to come just kind of to the edge, not all the way to the edge. It'll be just a little bit short of the end of the book. And that way I don't have too much where it's kind of trying to fold down or anything. That will keep it nice and flat as I open it and close it throughout the year. So I am just going to set that aside for a second. So what I'm going to do is I have my centerpiece that I want to stay there. I went ahead and I put the masking tape all the way up to the top, so I knew exactly where to cut that. And I'm going to come in here. Hopefully my pinking shears are about the same as theirs. There we go. Cut that. And then I'm going to cut right across the top of this piece of masking tape and the fabric. Okay, and that is not working very well. These scissors must be a little bit dull, and I don't want to make a mess of it. So after all of that coughing and everything else, I am going to pause it right here so that I can grab another pair of pinking shears, and I will be right back. Alrighty, sorry about that. Now hopefully this one will work. I tried it on the fabric and the masking tape down there where I'm not going to use it. And hopefully, I just kind of want to just take off the top edge of the masking tape. Hopefully that'll give me a pretty straight line. And I'm just doing it a little bit at a time just so that I kind of know that I'm straight. Now here I'm going to go through two pieces, so might be a little harder. Yeah, it wasn't too bad at all. Yep, you just need to have sharp scissors. And there. I passed that line that I want to cut it off here, so I'm going to cut right down that line. And again, with the masking tape on there, it just kind of gives it a little extra hold, and then the pinking shears, it just helps it so that it doesn't unravel really badly. You could also put a little bit of, they make special glues for fabric that you can put on edges to help them from fraying. And, you know, or you could fold it over and sew it. So that's not my favorite thing to do, so I don't like to do that. Just gonna cut that piece off. And this last piece here. And then I'll have the base of my cover. So there we go. And when I put this tape on here, I used the lines of my mat here to, you know, pretty much make sure that it was straight. So if I start my first signature on the edge of the tape, that should be good, except that's upside down. So I'm gonna, I think that's upside down, yes. Okay, so here are all of my signatures, and they're gonna go right on top of that masking tape, like that. There's my front cover and my fold over portion, and that's what it's gonna look like when we're done. So I really like the looks of that. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just sew my first signature right there on the edge of the masking tape, and I'm going to use just embroidery floss, and it should be approximately, I think it's 3 times as long. We'll find out. 1, 2, 3. Oops. And I'm going to use all 6 strands. Embroidery floss comes with 6 strands. I don't know if they make different types or not, but the kind that I get always comes with 6 strands. So I'm going to do that. Not tie a knot in the bottom. And then I am just going to, and you can go through and poke holes in here. I'm not going to, because these are going to be so close together. That would be hard to do. And so I'm just going to just kind of eyeball it. But I'm going to put this in here, right on the edge of the masking tape. And then, whoops, I'm going to go center out. You can go from the outside in or from the inside out. I'm going to go from the inside out because I'm going to tie it in the middle. I want it tied on the inside. So I'm just going to take my floss, go through, make sure you hold a tail that's long enough for you to tie a knot in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. I'm right on the edge of that masking tape, so I'm going to just come over here and come up to maybe 1 line below, and I'm going to just put it up through here like that. Whoops, now make sure that I pulled this tail right out of there. That's not a good thing, but we'll have to fix that then at the end. Okay, and then I'm going to go right through that line right there. Okay, alrighty. Then I'm going to take this off and fix that, bring that tail back through, because when I do, some people skip the middle hole and they just go straight to the bottom. I always like to go back through the middle hole. So, you know, that just depends on how you want to do it, but I don't want to have to deal with that later, after this is already sewn back down again. So here we go. So 3-hole pamphlet stitch. If I hadn't pulled that out, hold on a minute. There we go. Make sure I got them all through there. Down through the middle, then up through the top or bottom. It doesn't matter. Keeping your tail. And then right back down through the middle again. And I want to make sure that I go through the correct spot there. holding on to my tail. Now that tail is a little bit more solid there because now we've got that whole wrap there. So down through the middle, up through the top, down through the middle, and up through the bottom. And again, I'm just going to kind of look at it this way and come up, coming up right through the edge of the masking tape and down into this masking tape a little bit, because that will be a more solid place right there. Okay. And then through my paper, center. So down through the middle, up through the bottom. And then when you get back here, you're going to go around this top piece because that holds that string up. And then you're going to just make sure that everything is nice and tight. And just tie a knot. Pull it tight and then tighten the knot. There we go. And you have to go around twice to get a good knot. So there we go. So now we have that, and we have this little bit hanging over. I like to have it come kind of to the bottom of my page, and I usually like to at least leave it there until I decide what I want to do with it. So I'm going to go like that. And how much do I have left over? There was basically nothing on one side and not even a full length on the other. So I'm going to say 3 lengths is a good length. You don't have a whole lot left over. You can use this in snippets and stuff later. So now I'm just going to fold this over and take the next one, which is January. Make sure that it's lined up well. Grab 3 more lengths. 1, 2, 3. And go like that. Alrighty. So make sure that my January is up correctly. Make sure that it's lined up with the other one. And then I'm just going to kind of look as to where that hole is, which is right about there. So down through the middle, holding your tail. I'm going to go right next to the hole that's already there. There we go. Make sure that our tail is staying there. Line that up. And go right through the fold. Like I said, you can go through and poke all of these holes ahead of time. Okay. So hold that one there. Go down through the middle. And it can be a little bit fiddly, but to me it will be worth it when it's done. Give everything a good pull. And then I'm going to come right back up through here, right next to the other one. No, I'm going to just go right next to them all the way across. But maybe I should really go like a little bit higher and lower on every other one so that I don't have a punched hole right straight across. You know, because that will almost be like a perforation where it could want to rip easily. So maybe with the next one, I'll go just a touch higher or lower, and then just do that every other one. So come in through the bottom, go around that top piece so that that holds this section up, and tie them in a knot. My tail on that one is a little bit short. I'm not going to worry about it because I don't think that I'm going to put any kind of danglies or anything on the months. So it's okay if it's a little short. Just cut them the same length in case I do decide I want to hang something on there. And there we go. So there's January. I'm going to take the next one. Make sure that it's February. And start all over again. And I'm going to do that until I get them all in. And this is what our side looks like. Our spine. So I'm going to do that till I get them all in. And like I said, I think what I may do is, this one's over a little bit far. I think I might go up and down just a little bit so that I don't have a solid perforation. Although the perforation would only be in the fabric. It is fabric, so it should hold. I think I'll just keep going in the same spot. So I'm going to do that for all of the months. So I've got my first little notebook part here. I've got January, and then I'm going to put in all the rest of the months and my last little notebook. And then I will be back, show you what it looks like, and we'll decide how we're going to do the closure on it. So I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, I'm back. And so this is what the spine looks like. Not perfectly even or anything. Had I drawn a line that I could follow or something like that, you know, it would have been a little bit neater, but I think it turned out pretty nice. This is the first time I have ever done that many signatures in a book. So, and then I wanted to figure out how we were going to close it. And so I was looking through my drawer and I found these snaps. Now, they are from, can't even tell you when, but they're definitely pretty old because a set of 4 was 20 cents. So I thought those would be perfect to hold it shut because I want something that's pretty solid. I don't want to have to be tying and untying all the time because this is going to be used a lot, and yet it's going to hold nice and solid. So all I did was I took the snaps, and I'm going to show you because I still have one left to do. And so when you look at them, let me see if I can just hold it. It has 4 little openings, and so you just sew through those openings. And I made sure that I did it nice and solid. I put a lot of thread on there. And then if you just go from one to the next, it makes a little square on the back, so it really doesn't look that bad or anything. And and then what I did was I'll show you how I did this because I'm going to do it on this one. So I put the snap, once this one was in, I put the snap together. Okay, that's going to show me where it needs to go on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of hold this up where it's supposed to go, which it looks like right about there. And then I'm going to press down right where that snap is so that I know exactly where to line it up to sew it, so that after I sew it, they line up nicely on my book cover versus being, you know, like maybe a little too high, too low, or whatever. So now I have a dent in there, and so I'm going to remove this one, put it right in that dent, and then just sew through it. And I normally put my knot on the side, whoops, I moved it, on the side where the snap is at. That way, it doesn't show up on the other side if I decide not to cover it. Now, I did kind of move this to make it look a little more like that. Hopefully, that's okay. So just go ahead and go through. There's 4 holes. So I'm just going to go through the same one about 4 times. To me, that's a decent thickness of thread. And do that all the way around because it is going to be used quite often. Ow, I just poked myself. so that way it doesn't come loose, hopefully. And if it does, oh, now I've really got that really high to the top. Make sure that my thumb's not bleeding. It's not. Okay. I'm going to move it down just a little bit. And I'm going to go to this next one. I'm going to sew through that one so it doesn't move. So kind of doing it way down here. It's a little bit different than, you know, how I normally sew. So should I kind of have it very, well, closer to my face, where I can see it a little bit better. But so once we get this done, you know, then the decision will be, these are being sewn on the front cover. And so, you know, I have to decide whether I want that little square of thread to show up. I'm just having a hard time today. Or whether I want to cover it up. And I kind of thought, because it's the front cover, and the flap of the front cover, I thought it might be kind of nice to go ahead and put a piece of lace there. And I think I could tack it down or glue it on. And I think I've decided that Fabri-Tac would work nicely, because then it will cover the, you know, I can kind of cover the whole piece of lace. And if I find that that's coming off, then I can always sew it down later. And I think that's the biggest thing. I'm making it for me. So there are things where it's like, I'm not sure which way to go. If I choose it the wrong way and find out that the lace might want to come off if I just glue it on, well, I can always fix it. So I don't have to study on it quite as long as if I were to make it for someone else and try and, you know, figure out how it's going to work for them. Because then if it were to break when they got it, maybe they, you know, are not the type of person that would want to fix it. Oh, I always hate it. It's just like sewing on a button. You have to find the holes. Of course, it would be the last of the 4. And I'm going to have a hard time with it. But yeah, I have quite a few of these snaps in my drawer that I've gotten either from my mother's sewing kits or from when I pick up different things at the secondhand stores or garage sales. And I have a lot of these types of things. And I thought, you know what? They've been around forever. You know, they used to work great. You know, now we have Velcro and all that type of thing, but I really didn't want to put Velcro on here. I was afraid that after a while, and after being shoved in and out of my purse, you know, getting little bits of thread or whatever, dirt or whatever on it, that it might not want to hold together very well. And I thought, you know, the snaps, I think that that they will hold really well. So, and I have some of the little, oh, what do they call those? Not really, maybe they are, no, they're not eyelets. Hook and, no. Anyways, like a hook. And I want to make sure my thread was still on there. And I'm just going to go on this side because I've decided to put lace on it. I'm not going to mind that I'm going to put the knot on the outside. Okay, that is knotted, and I'm going to put my needle in my thread so I don't lose it. And I'm going to glue the lace on there, so I'm going to cut that about 1/4 of an inch long or something like that, and then it'll have glue on it. So I'm going to snap this one, and I'm going to snap that one, and that looks really nice. Also, the thing was, I could have pulled this up here tighter. When I did the first one, I was kind of trying to decide where I wanted it. I could have pulled it tighter like that. I put it back just a little bit because I think, and I'm not going to know for sure until now because I didn't have it ready. You know, I mean, I wanted to get it done before I saw, but I think that I have enough room right here to, and I do. I have enough room to put a pen in there. Now, this is not the pen that I want. You know, I'll do something a little different than that, a nicer pen, and one that, you know, fits in there halfway decent. But yeah, then I can always have a pen with me, and it will be inside of there. You know, with the clicker pens, they fit, you know, this part of it is a lot closer to the top of the clicker pen. I don't think I have any of those types of pens. Well, here's one. So with that, it fits a lot closer to the top, so you don't have this great big huge amount sticking out of the top. But yeah, and this one gets really fat, so it kind of pushes in there. But if I get one that's just kind of normal size, kind of like this, it'll fit in there really nicely without even moving those at all. So I think that turned out good, and now we'll just put a little bit. I found this piece of lace that I thought looked really nice. It's a piece from the Dollar Tree. I know that because I know that pattern, and I really like that one. I used to buy it quite often, and I'm not sure anymore if they still have it or not. I am just going to start right up here at the top because that's how far I'm going. And then just go right down there. I'm not going quite to the edge of the booklet. Just going to take that. And I could even fold that around if I wanted to, but I really don't think I want to. I think I want to use my pinking shears. I'm going to press this down. And then I'm going to just cut it with a pinking shear so that it kind of matches the edges. There we go. And this is going to get a little bit tattered going in and out of my purse, even though I have, you know, cut the edges with the pinking shears and put the masking tape and stuff on there. It's not going to keep it completely from getting tattered. It's just going to help. You know, with the pinking shears, it still could, being that it's being used so much, it still can get messy, but that's totally fine. And there we go. Now I have my own little calendar that I can carry in my purse or toss it in my pocket. And again, I've got, you know, writing space. I'm kind of glad that I did wind up having the paper shorter than the calendar pages, because what that does is it makes it really easy to find the calendar page and to go from one to the next. If the lined pages were exactly the same, if they came out exactly as far as the calendar, it wouldn't be as easy, I don't think, to find, although that is also the center of the signature. So, you know, maybe it would be just as easy to find. But anyway, so there we go. And I still have my last one there also for writing and one in the beginning for writing. So I hope that you enjoyed this. And if you need one, I figured this would give you time to put one together. And like I said, you can make them any size that you want to. They can be something to carry in your purse or just something to keep on your desk, even using a full-size calendar, because when you fold that in half, it'd make a nice size calendar for your desk. So thank you very much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.